goosebumps every time, yeah, 713. The 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low key. I'm sipping low key and honest, rider. I get those goosebumps every time. I'm around, yeah. I'm on, make everything go fine. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, we throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time.
Up the mags.
Yes, sir.
Loaded news. Tonight, it happened again. It happened again. Tottenham Hotspur, it happened again. Yes!
Get in there.
Get in.
I love it.
Welcome everyone to Loaded Mag NUFC, the reaction show. And it's a good positive reaction too. Boys, how are you? Pete, let's go to you first. How are you getting on this Monday evening?
Yeah, not too bad. I feel like I look like a ghost on here. There's something wrong with my lighting at the moment. I'm trying to figure it out. But
who you got to call?
Sorry. Yeah,
never mind. Carry on.
Yeah, I know what you meant. No, I'm great Monday, great weekend. And we're going to talk about a fantastic 3 points on the board for Newcastle United. So cannot wait to get into this discussion. But yeah, Chris, Mr. Hall, we're just talking about it before we went live. Bet your household was a treat this weekend. But talk to us, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. All good. First day back in work today, but I'm not too sad because I break up on Thursday and then I'm off on holiday on Friday. So really, really excited this week. Looking forward to going away. And do you know what? I didn't even realise it was only last week. I stopped and I thought, and I was like, oh, I've timed this holiday perfectly because I'm away while there's no football on. So I'm absolutely buzzing because I come back on the Friday the 13th. And then obviously the footy's back on that weekend. So yeah, I'm really pleased. I'm pleased with how the holiday booking's gone. But yeah, on a personal note, mate, really, really good. Absolutely delighted with the 3 points. Like the 3 points is huge. Like, you know, I know we're going to get into it, and you know, we've had a little bit of time to reflect on it. I think we're in a really strong position, and I personally think this international break has come at a really good time in terms of, you know, players building the fitness, certain players coming back, the likes of Cher, for example. Callum Wilson, who knows? I mean, apparently he's out for longer than expected, but we'll have to see. Maybe that's Eddie being coy, who knows? But no, I think it's coming a really good time, and hopefully Anthony Gordon and players like that can get up to speed as well, get fit for the next match, which I believe is Wolves away. So yeah, all good, mate, all good. I've had a really good weekend, but more importantly, I want to hear about Dazzler and how that weekend was, Daz.
Yes.
Oh man. What a 24 hours. I got 3 hours sleep the night before I went to Newcastle. Got up at 2:00. I cut it short. A 20-hour non-stop experience, but it was well worth it. Absolutely class. Okay, I'll talk about more towards the end about a few people I met and a few pictures I got as well along the way, but maybe a few shout outs as well. And I have a funny story. Well, I think it's funny as well for later on. So let's see. But you know what? Let's get into the game. Let's talk through it. I watched it back there as well after I finished work today, and I watched it back. Actually, get my pictures ready as well. I'm still wrecked. As usual, war flags, never let anyone down. Unreal picture. Flags for Tonali. Absolutely class display they put on there. Also a great picture. Yeah, it was great to see. That's where I was. This is where I was sitting on the ground, actually, right about there. That's a great view, actually. So a great seat.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Looking to get that one. I wasn't the only one there. These men were there as well. Not so happy by the looks of it. Wonder what's penny for their thoughts. But I wonder what was said. Let's get into the team news, boys. Bit different than what was said on away days. The team news.
Yeah, it was.
What are you thinking? What were your thoughts when you saw that team news first?
I think you're on mute,
You're on
Pete.
mute, Pete.
Oh.
Yes, it's either we're gone deaf or you're on mute.
Oh, yeah, weird. It doesn't say he's on mute, but yeah, we can't hear him.
Yeah.
Hear me now?
Oh, yeah, can
Yes,
hear now.
can hear you now.
Oh, I must have clicked the button by accident. I have no idea. It's flashing next to me, and I'm like, "What the hell was that?" So I just clicked it. Anyway, yeah, it was a very quick flick of the team news because I was literally in the middle of warming up my daughter's football team ready for their first game of the season. So I had a quick look just before we finished for kickoff. And I saw that Kenny was in there, and that was like, oh, okay. Because we were kind of expecting Hall. I think, Chris, you might have put Hall in your predicted 11.
I did.
And that was the thing that stood out for me. I was like, oh, okay, he's gone with Kelly. That was the big interesting thing. I believe we talked about the possibility of maybe Longstaff starting, but I think we wanted Tonali to start. So the fact that Longstaff started wasn't necessarily a surprise. It was more of a because you see the quality of him on Wednesday night. You just wanted him to play, but you knew he was going to play a part anyway. They were the two main things that stood out for me, lads.
Chris, how about you?
Yes, same as Pete, really. What was pleasing to see, which we did speak about on away days, didn't we, Pete, was the fact that we saw Gordon, Barnes, and Isak up front, our best three. And you know that was the positive I took from it. But yeah, like you say, Pete, not that it was a shock that Longstaff started, but it was just one of those moments. But you know, Sandro came on, and obviously we can talk about that a bit later. But we knew he'd play some part in the game, and that was great. But yeah, interesting that he went with Kelly, because I did think he would have stuck with Hall. But again, we will get into it. You know, Kelly provides, I'd say, a little bit more defensive stability than Hall. So the decision now does, you know, on reflection, does make sense. And obviously, again, Lewis Hall came on and got some minutes too. But no, I was reasonably happy with the lineup. Like other than being a little bit gutted about Sandro, you know, I thought it's a good solid 11. And you know, obviously knowing that Tottenham were missing the likes of Richarlison, the likes of Solanke, I thought it's going to be a really good game.
And Van der Ven as well. They're missing Van der Ven.
Yeah.
Well, Sunday morning, Daz, and obviously you might watch.
He was on his face.
But yeah, but Sunday morning there were rumours of it. We asked Patrick on away days about it with regards to Van der Ven, and he was like, nah. He's going to be fit. He's going to be fit. And literally, as the show finished, it must have been half an hour later. It came onto social media. He's not available, and I was like, yes, get in there.
I did.
He's a quality player. Let's not beat around the bush. We destroyed him last year, but him not being there definitely makes a difference. Sorry, Dad.
No, you know, I did hear one Irish lad say that he might be missing, right, but I didn't take any notice until the team news dropped. But actually, cheers, Dom, for the team sheet as well. I got one of the little team sheets. I was sitting close enough to where Dom is based. I got to go over and say hello to him. So that was sound good to catch up for a few seconds before he got to work. We got on with the game, but let's us get on with the game as well. The I2 was expecting Tonali to start, but especially on his day and the effort that War Flags went to, but we did get to see him later on in the day. Let me talk you through it quickly. I'll just kind of fly through the game. Yes, okay, 5 minutes. Isak steals the ball from Son, chips from out wide, but it clips the bar as he tried to lob the keeper. If that went in, unbelievable. Nice one, Jordy Tuber life towards Chris there. And then 8 minutes, shot from Barnes, was wide of the post. 11 minutes. Romero had the ball in the Newcastle net, but there was 2 Spurs players offside. There was no doubt of that. No one protested that one. No goal. It was mainly Newcastle for that first 20 minutes. Then they kind of had to change the linesman. They swapped him with the fourth official, and but then Spurs stepped up after that. 24 minutes. Pope save from a shot from distance, and again on 26 minutes. Then 36 minutes, Kelly out wide from a quick throw, ball in and clipped by Barnes into the goal. 1-0 Newcastle. Here I have my little pictures as well, ready to go somewhere. Here's the celebration from Barnes and pictures to match. What did you make of that first goal, lads? Pete, we'll go to you first.
I love this guy, man. I love Harvey Barnes. I really do. And my affection to him is growing every game he plays, particularly this season. He's really got the bit between his teeth. I think he feels like he's got something to prove at Newcastle United. And look, it was an absolute tremendous finish. But we've got to give props to Lloyd Kelly here for working his way down there and putting the ball into the box. It wasn't his best delivery. He's definitely much better than that with delivering a ball into the box, but it was in the perfect position for Harvey Barnes. And Harvey Barnes is just proving that he can play on that right-hand side of midfield. The way he just kind of ghosted in, cuts inside, and it's the way he just caresses the ball. We've said it so many times. Yes, he doesn't run himself into the ground like Gordon. Yes, he doesn't, do the defensive side of the job as well as Anthony Gordon. But I tell you what, he can finish like no other. And he is a superb finisher of the ball. And you give him a sniff in front of goal, and 9 times out of 10, he's going to put it in the net. And it was a tremendous finish. And look, Sky have lauded him. Daniel Sturridge was talking about how good that finish was, and rightly so on Sky Sports, because that finish is not easy. It's not easy. The ball's coming across him, and with his right foot, he's having to guide it into the far corner, and as well to beat a very good goalkeeper in Vicario. Like, it's not easy, but to hit that into the side netting in the far corner is a superb finish. And it's exactly what Newcastle United needed at that point, because it ebbed and flowed at that point in the game. Tottenham had some opportunities. Newcastle United looked dangerous on the counter, and you didn't know which way it was going to go. And then we just bang, pull out that moment, and the main man, Harvey Barnes, puts the ball away. And for me at that point, it was kind of relief. It was like we kind of got the first hit in, and you knew if we could take the lead, it was always going to put us in a positive position. But a superb finish. But props to Lloyd Kelly for that. But yeah, a great goal all round.
Chris, your thoughts on that goal from Barnes?
Mate, it's just an exquisite finish. It's an absolutely exquisite finish. Like Pete's already described it there. When you watch it back, it gets better and better. Like, it looks easy, and trust me, finishing like that is not easy. Like, that could have so easily gone wrong. And the thing about it is, it was a great ball in from Lloyd Kelly. Really, really good ball. But the way he's hit it, like, that could have gone near the corner flag, and then everyone would have been going, "Oh, what's he doing? What the hell was that?" He's got to hit it just right, but he uses the power from the ball to just caress it. He just changes the direction of the ball, and he puts it right in the corner, and the keeper's got no chance. Like, it's a really, really good finish. And it's at pace as well. Even when you watch it on the replay, you can see the cameraman struggling to keep up with it. I think on the I think Newcastle, released like a short of it, and like you can't even see the goal properly because it's just like this, trying to keep up with it. So it's a fantastic goal, and I'm really pleased for Harvey Barnes. He's had his doubters. Some comments have come from me as well. Pete is correct when he says he's a completely different type of player to Gordon, and he isn't somebody. Having watched him a lot more thoroughly now, I've seen him obviously at his time at Leicester, and he's a goal scorer. Like, he's a great finisher. He really, really is. But he's not your traditional Eddie Howe type player, I wouldn't say, but he brings these qualities which we don't have in abundance, and I just think it was a really, really excellent goal. And it'll do his confidence the world of good. And I'm pleased that he got the start, and I'm pleased that he followed it up, with such an excellent finish. And I don't know if this already happened, as maybe it didn't. But I think at 0-0, he had a really good shot, and it wasn't far away. It just fizzed past the post, and it was, well, I'll say it was similar, but it was in a similar kind of area. Outside of the box, so it's just as you're looking at the goal, it was just to the left, and he cuts in on his right foot and he pings it, and it wasn't, and it wasn't far wide, mate.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That would have been a stunning goal.
8 minutes that happened.
That would have been a stunning goal. I remember it, counter attack. So Gordon wins the ball, he cuts inside, and Isak makes the run forward because he thinks he's going to play it to him, but he plays it outside to Barnes. Barnes just comes in against Porro, and he just shifts the ball just slightly to the right, and it's like it's all in one motion. And I know it because I've done it. Like, I've played that type of shot before. Like, you try and put the keeper off guard, like, so they're not set. So he's literally shifted it in a shot in the same motion, and it just whistles past the post.
FIFA doesn't count though, Pete. I'm afraid.
No. I've been there before. Real, not FIFA.
But from my view, I was there. How the hell did Kelly score from there? Because I didn't see who the hell hit it. I was like looking up the screen. I'm waiting to hear who the scorer was, and you could see it in the replay. Absolutely class. Newcastle 1-0 up. Newcastle then closed out the half well, and they were in control. Madison, a bit of cheating, trying to get a penalty off Burnt.
That was disgusting. That, by the way, that was
on the
really
TV.
hard.
He does touch his foot though, but you don't see that there, and he got booed and everything after that.
Hey, I saw the replay because obviously we had the advantage, as having watched it at home. We had the advantage of watching it 3 or 4 times. He actually. As he's running, he goes past the penalty area, and then he's like, "Oh shit, I'm outside the penalty area. Yeah, I'll just drag my leg back so that it's near the penalty area." He doesn't quite make it, so it's still outside the box anyway. But to be fair, fantastic refereeing because he was onto it. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Didn't even blink. He didn't even give it a second thought. Nothing he got from it. But that took us to halftime, 1-0 Newcastle. But let's go into the second half then, as we zoom on. But Spurs came out firing in that second half, but Newcastle were under pressure. Isak then on 46 minutes, so this could have taken a 2-0 and clear. Isak was 1-on-1 after the ball from Chino. He could have potentially squared it to Barnes. It wasn't easy to do that either, but his shot was blocked in as he was trying to pull the trigger. But it was a great tackle by Dragutin, or whatever you call him, the guy that came in for Van der Ven. Yes, that's him. But he kind of upended Isak, and I know Tom has a question in the chat as well. Should Isak have had a penalty? But let's go there. Do you think that was a penalty?
I think it's a penalty. There's contact made. He doesn't get hold of the ball. For me, it's a stonewall penalty, and you can tell by a player's reaction on whether it genuinely is a penalty or not. And the absolute shock from Isak when he turns around, he's expecting the referee to already be pointing at the spot at that point, and he turns around and he's like, what the hell is going on here? How is that not a penalty? And that was my thought as well. Because when he's running through, you're kind of thinking, at that point, you're thinking, square it. Players there, give him the ball.
It's there.
Yeah, you're thinking like,
oh mate,
it's there. But then when he takes it on, he's almost permitting the player to make a challenge because he's getting close enough to goal. It's a penalty for me all day. And I think if you asked any other team if it was their player in that position, if you asked Patrick or another Tottenham fan, if that was their player in that position, they'd be going mad for a penalty as well. No doubt in my mind, lads.
For you, Chris, was it a penalty?
So on reflection, yeah, it was. But at the time, I've got to admit, like Tony Beasley's put it in the chat. He said 46 minutes in, by the way, I lost my voice at Isak. Why the fuck didn't he square it to Barnes before he was tackled? It was game over had he done that. So I slightly disagree with you there, and Daz, in that for me, he had plenty of time to square that ball, plenty of time. And do you know what I think it was?
Oh, you tied, but the angle though, Chris. I was just looking back on TV. It wasn't clear. No, what I'm saying is he could have done it, but it wasn't clear cut as the one we're going to talk about later on.
As the one we're going to talk about, yeah. No, yeah, you are right when you say that. It was just, and I'm like the biggest, hugest Alexander Isak fan, but I think that's the only time I've ever been screaming at him, just going, "Why didn't you cut the ball back? Why didn't you cut the ball back?" So I didn't actually really see the penalty incident. I just thought, oh, he got, it was no goal, and then it was only afterwards I seen it, and I thought, yeah, they definitely got away with one there. Yeah, so that was incredibly annoying and frustrating, because at 2-0, I think the game would have looked a hell of a lot different had we gone 2-0 up. But what I will say is, my sympathy towards Isak, and I don't know if you boys agree with this, I think if Isak was on 1 or 2 goals already for the season, I think he'd have cut it. I think he would have cut it. It was the fact he was desperate to get that goal. And strikers do that. They want it. He wanted to get it, get off the mark. So I can't be too harsh on him. But I bet you afterwards, Eddie Howe was like, should have gone that way, and then it would have sealed it. But hey ho.
Cool. So I hope that answered that question, Tom. So we move on. There's some balls coming into the box from Spurs. Just needed a finish. Not having a striker, I suppose, with playing Son up front. They had no one to put the ball in the net. Not yet, at least. 54 minutes. Spurs hit the crossbar for a deflected shot. Then comes the Spurs goal on 55 minutes. So a Pope save. He pushed the ball away from a Madison shot into the path of Brendan Johnson. Pope taps it again from Brendan Johnson's shot, and Byrne applies the finish as he was trying to clear it over the bar. Did he need to do that? Probably not. He probably didn't know where he was either. But your thoughts on cheers, Foxy. Your thoughts on the equalizer for Spurs, lads? Burn OG. Chris, we go to you first.
Yeah, so I was disappointed naturally with the equaliser. I can't say Spurs didn't deserve it, because you could almost see it coming. At that point they were applying loads and loads of pressure, and it was funny because at the time I was just like, oh, what the fuck's happened there? And then when I watched it back, as I did a lot last season, because whenever we conceded a goal, I always seemed to critique Dubravka. So I was staring at Pope and being like, what's he done here? Now, I've seen a few people comment on this goal, and my mates were messaging me at the time, and I was sticking up for Pope, because a goalkeeper is taught when you get a shot on goal, the idea is to push it away from the goal, to the side, away to the goal. And when you watch the replay, that's exactly what he does. Yes, Son was pretty near it, but you've got to give credit there, in my opinion, to Son for fizzing it straight back in. Catching Pope off guard, I think Pope gets a hand to it, and then the fact that he gets that hand to it ricochets it a little bit. Dan Burns coming running in to get back on his line and defend, as you say, Daz, 6s and 7s, doesn't know where he's at, and then it just hits him and goes in. So I can't blame Dan Burn. I'm very reluctant to blame Nick Pope. I would actually credit Son for it, because Son, quick thinking, Pope pushes the ball out, and Son, rather than controlling it, looking up and passing it, he just literally hits it straight back in. And I think that catches everyone unawares. Like I say, some people are being quite critical of Pope for it, but in terms of what he needs to do, I've seen so many goalkeepers face a shot like that, push it out straight back into the 6-yard box. Now that's unforgivable, because a goalkeeper shouldn't do that. They're taught to push it out, to either side, and that's exactly what he does. So other than pushing it out and sending it for a corner, I don't really know what else he could have done. And obviously, depending on the angle, how would he be able to do that other than, like bending his arm unnaturally round so that it went out? Do you know what I mean? I don't really know what else Pope could have done there. He's not keeping hold of it because of the power of the shot. So yeah, I was a bit reluctant to have a go at Pope at that. But yeah, it was unfortunate. But you can't say Tottenham didn't deserve it, because at that point
they were on top of
bombarding us. Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't getting out of the box at all. It just was constant pressure from Spurs at that stage. But Pete, your thoughts on Spurs' equalizer?
I'll just come to that in just a second. But Alan Thompson just said he's got a close relative seriously ill with cancer at the moment. So sending thoughts and best wishes to you and your family member. Hope you're all well and obviously getting all the support that you need. It's great to have you back in the chat, Alan. Always a pleasure to have you in there. You have great opinions and thoughts on that, all things Newcastle. So just wanted to share that. Hope you're well, and we're here if you need you. If you need it, we're here to support you, mate. So great to have you with us, Alan, tonight, talking all things Newcastle. Look, Chris has touched on a lot of stuff anyway, and put it spot on. The goal was coming. You could feel it coming. There was wave after wave of attack. We were sinking deeper and deeper into our box, and the goal was coming. But I just didn't imagine it to be the way in which it come. It was a very much an avoidable situation. How a really poor shot on the edge of the box manages to seek its way through to Pope, I'm not quite sure. We didn't do enough to stop that shot. Secondly, for me, I'm with Chris. I'm not against him pushing it away, because as what's been said, that's what goalkeepers are taught to do. I just thought we could have held it. I think the shot was tame enough for him to hold it, and that's not the first time he's done that. He tends to push away shots that he doesn't need to do. There's been a couple of times where that's happened. There was a couple at Bournemouth where there was one shot in the second half where he almost kind of double fists it away, and it's literally coming at him, and he just needs to hold on to it. And I'm thinking, why are you doing that? It just sometimes it just doesn't make sense. But I'm not a professional goalkeeper, so maybe he's been taught a different style. I have no idea, but his style is very unique in comparison to very many others around. But what I will say is that what comes after that is disappointing. So the ball comes back in from Son. I think Pope does really well to get a touch on it. The ball's actually going wide. You can see it when you see it from behind the post angle. The ball, because of the spin on it, the ball, he manages to get a swipe at it, and the ball is actually going wide. It's not actually going in on goal. So it's even more disappointing that when Burn kicks it into his own net, actually he didn't need to. He just needed to. He just needed to watch it out and see it out. But in that moment, you react and you're trying to stop it, thinking that it's going in the net. For me, I think Burn could have done better. For me, that goal is more on Burn than it is on Pope, because I think he could have done better. The fact that he literally kicks it into the roof of his net when he has time and space, and he's got a good swivel on the ball. So where his body position is, he shouldn't need to kick it up into the net. He should be able to kick it away with relative ease. So it was a surprise he ends up kicking it into his own goal. But look, Spurs deserved it at that point because they were by far the better team. But it was a really poor goal to concede. And that was the biggest disappointment for me. Not the fact that they scored. It was the manner of how we conceded that goal. And we just need to be better in those moments. When we're under the cosh, we just need to be a little bit better, because it was in that moment, in my opinion, where they had their most pressure on Newcastle United within the whole game. And I just felt we just could have managed that better. If we'd have rode out that storm and Bernard had got rid of that, we maybe could have seen that out, and then we would have likely have gone again anyway when the likes of Murphy and Tonali came on regardless, and we'd have already been in a position. Look, disappointing goal to concede. Look, I think they'll be honest and say that as well. I think Byrne will be honest and say he could have done better. But yeah, look, it's one of those things. But Tottenham deserved it.
They did. Look, it was always coming, to tell you the truth, from the start of the second half. Look at Newcastle. Then we're just it was kind of frustrating more than that. Spurs were going in search of a winner. Really, you think that there was only going to be one winner in this game at that stage. We bring on a sub. Howe tries to change it up. Murphy came on, Barnes came off. As we said earlier, Barnes was having a brilliant game, so he didn't deserve to go off or anything at that stage. Then, not long after coming on, Murphy went on to lose the ball multiple times. Mainly forgetting that Tino, when he makes a pass in a game, he's gone. So he plays a pass and then he's gone. He's moved on to the next position. So a bit of madness there from Murphy at times. About 10, 15 minutes after that, I was thinking, take him off again, because some of his passes were definitely going astray. But moving on, Newcastle do find it difficult then to get it out of their own half. 65 minutes, a shot by Murphy as he started to come into the game then was saved. 67 minutes, Hall and Tonali come on, and Kelly and Longstaff off. Great save then from Pope as Madison tries to place it towards the top corner. That was a great save, actually, I thought. Then, and 1 minute later, Pope taps it over on a shot from distance as well. So Spurs did look more likely to get that winner. But then, 67 minutes, Joe Linton in the middle of his own half. A ball through the center of the pitch onto Murphy. Murphy running at pace to pick up the ball and go. It looked like he was going to go one-on-one with the keeper. Isak busting the gut to get up alongside him, and Murphy did the right thing. I was screaming at him because pass square to Isak, and he did. He squares it to Isak, and a tap in for Isak. Cue the little celebration from Isak. We love to see these. And of course, then he went to celebrate and thank Murphy for passing the ball in. And so Isak gets off the mark for the season. And as you said, Chris, it was on his mind that probably potentially why he took that tried to take that shot on earlier in the game. So now he's got that first goal, and he had another mini celebration again to punch in the sky after that. A big cheer for that one, obviously. But yeah, what did you make, Pete? We'll go to first. Isak's goal.
It was a brilliant goal. It was a brilliant, well-worked goal all round. Now, I'm not going to lie, when Joe Linton picks the ball up in that position and he's got the player, and I think it was Maddison that was closing him down, I had vibes of Bournemouth from last week, where he gives the ball away and eventually they go on and score their first goal because he holds on to the ball for too long. But that Joe Linton swivel is something that I really enjoy seeing, and when it works, it really does work because he can leave players for dead on that swivel. He's got the strength and the ability to turn. It's just whether he's got the technique to keep the ball with him. He certainly does that with Maddison, and Maddison's not the best defensively, so once he knocks the ball by him, he's gone. But find the ball that he finds, I don't think I've seen Joe Linton play a ball like that before. And it was a defense splitting pass. It was an unbelievable find. It was one that if you saw Bruno find, you go, Bruno. You don't necessarily associate that with Joe Linton, but it was a fantastic ball. And, props to Jacob Murphy, because I think we're all frustrated with him giving the ball away, not utilizing the ball before that moment in the way in which he should. And you're almost thinking, why has he took Harvey Barnes off, arguably one of our best players, if not the best player for us at that particular time when he gets subbed in. Then he produces that moment. Firstly, he manages to stay on side. Secondly, he runs through, and I love the run, and I keep watching it back because the run is brilliant. He makes the run, he beats his man. He's got Udogie behind him, who's a really good recovery defender, by the way. And he gets himself into the box. He knows Isak's there, but it's the additional touch into the box where almost at the point in which he takes the extra touch, everyone expects him to pass. So everyone kind of like goes, they almost kind of like anticipate and almost kind of plan for him to play the ball across, and he doesn't. And it almost stumps the defenders. And Udogie at that point, he almost kind of gets stumped and he falls to the ground. the other defenders stop because they think he's going to pass it, so they're looking at Isak. But it just gives him that extra yard ahead, and it gives Isak the easy opportunity to just keep his run in line, and then it goes across. And of course, the man, the cold killer, he's not missing from that. And if I don't think he's going to get an easier goal this season. I could be wrong, but he's not going to get an easier goal than that this season because, and boy, did he need it. He needed it because, in my opinion, he didn't play well. There are elements of his game that he needs to improve. He was very quiet in parts. He was out of the game in parts. But when you have a striker like that, you've always got a chance of winning the game because he's always going to produce a moment. And he does. Fair play to Joe Linton and Murphy, who do the hard part in creating that moment. But you want your main man to put that in the net. And it was carnage in the Davy household, I'm not going to lie. And that ball.
It was carnage where I was as well, Pete. Let's just yeah, but credit Eddie Howe as well for putting on Murphy, and like he did a few things wrong, but he did the right thing in squaring it to Isak. Chris, frozen? Are you still there? Oh, you're still there.
Yeah,
how was that goal for you?
Oh, it was brilliant. Like Pete's right, it was a heart moment mouth. When Joe Linton had the ball in the middle, and it was flashbacks to Bournemouth, wasn't it? But I love when you see Joe Linton just bullying people, holding people off the ball. It's as if he says to Maddison, "Yeah, mate, you just wait there while I just turn you." And really, the perfect player on the pitch to do that too, because as soon as Joe Linton gets away from him, Maddison's not catching him. And even if Maddison did manage to catch him, he wouldn't have got near him anyway, because Joe Linton's like a man mountain, so it was never going to happen. But the most surprising thing, was the ball itself, because it was Bruno-esque. It was. Maybe Bruno's been rubbing off some Brazilian magic on Joe Linton, because that was absolutely tremendous. Great ball, and Murphy does everything right, which I felt Isak could have done previously. Holds his composure, realizes that Alexander Isak's in a far better position, and as Pete said, Isak's not missing from there, not a chance. But the goal was well celebrated in ours as well, Pete. And it felt like a very lucky moment, as in it was a deserved goal, and it was a well played goal. But to sneak a 2-1 lead, I thought, bloody hell, how have we managed to get ourselves in this position? But that's what that's what good players can do. And as long as you can hang in there, stay in a game, there's no reason why you can't go and do that and nick all the points. And that's exactly what we did. But great goal, and really pleased for Alexander Isak as well to get off the mark as well.
Cool. Right, towards the end, 93 minutes, Miggy came on for Gordon. Game over. 2-1 Newcastle. Of course, this man got on the pitch as well. Tonali, as I mentioned earlier, and now we've got 3 players that completely do that. Joe Linton, Sandro Tonali, and Bruno. But all in all, lads, how was the game for you? Obviously delighted with the result. Who was your standout player or players in that game?
Look, we rode our luck in that game. I thought Tottenham played well in 1 or 2, maybe even 3 spells during that game, and maybe can feel hard done by for not getting the win. But when you're not clinical in front of goal, you always run the risk of not getting the points on the board. And that's what we've got in our team. We've got players that can win a game. We've got players that have special moments, particularly in our attacking areas. And it proved it. Harvey Barnes, I thought, was brilliant. Arguably one of his best games for the club. Scored a brilliant goal. Unlucky to be subbed off and could have had more. That was the moment. I think that was it. That was the cut-in in the shot. That just whistled past the post. But I thought Joe Linton was back to his best. I know he got player of the match or overall. I thought he was excellent. Big props to Lloyd Kelly. I thought Lloyd Kelly was very, very good in that defensive position. And there are other players I'm sure that you boys will touch on as well, but I thought Sandro Tonali really kind of gave us that lift when he came on, and not just because of him returning, but just because he's a player that likes the ball at his feet and is comfortable in holding possession. And in that point, when you're either trying to push for a win or hold on to a lead, he is exactly the type of player that you need. And he really gave us a lift on the pitch with his ability. So there's a few players there for me that stood out. There were others, but yeah, look, I'm not gonna moan. As long as we're getting the 3 points and we're ticking along, I am happy. It's as simple as that. It's about getting those points on the board. Those good performances will come. Not worried about it. They will come as we continue to build. The great thing is we've got Fabian Schär back after the international break, and we continue to build the squad and build fitness as we go along. So happy days for me. We took our chances. 2 big games to come after the international break. And what could have been a very toxic period this next 2 weeks is very much a happy one, with 7 points out of 9 on the board. So all good with me. Smiles all round.
Smiles all around. Sandro Tonali. There's a song about him, isn't there? Love it.
Have you noticed? Have you noticed since we mentioned about Wilson not being there whilst injured at matches, he's been at every single one, and he's the one welcoming the players in afterwards. He listens. The loading
he does. He watches the show. He watches the show. I think he's been watching it ever since we put up this picture with Russ. I think he has. Russ obviously told him to watch it as well. He would have seen it on the van. But Chris, I'm gonna put up this picture first, and then I'm gonna ask you who stood out for you in that game.
Yeah, so I impressed my young lad Callum, the blue. I impressed him because, you know, when Sky go on and they start talking about who do you think should man of the match, straight away I said it's Joe Linton. It's Joe Linton all day long. I thought Joe Linton was absolutely brilliant, and then lo and behold, he said Joe Linton. So he quite liked that. But yeah, I thought, do you know what? There's some notable mentions. Pete's already touched on a few of them. I think a big shout out to the back four as a whole, because I thought the back four did particularly well. You know, Tino, Kraft, Byrne, and Kelly. And the one I'd like to highlight off the four was Emil Kraft. I thought Emil Kraft played really, really well. And do you know what? Let's not forget, boys, he's playing in a position that isn't, you know, his natural position. It's, you know, he is an out-and-out right back. And since he's come in, I feel a bit sorry for him actually, because now, as Pete mentions, Fabian Schär is going to be back for the next game, and Fabian has to come back in. You know, he's got to come straight back in. But Emil Kraft can count himself unlucky, really, because I think he's built up a really good partnership in recent games with Dan Byrne. And, you know, for us to pick up 7 points out of 9, as Naz said in the chat, that's the main and the most important thing. But we've done it in some difficult circumstances. You know, Southampton at home, we go down to 10 men, and we weren't playing well with 11 men either. But we've managed to get the win over the line. And we said at the time, didn't we, in the reaction show, that like last season we wouldn't have done that. We either conceded or we'd have lost that game. So the fact that, you know, we got the 3 points there, then we went to the Vitality, Bournemouth. Again, a tricky game, and we weren't at it. We weren't at our best. And that was the frustration when I was watching the Everton game at the weekend, because Everton played really, really well against Bournemouth. And I wish that we'd have done the same. You know, we were more than capable of beating Bournemouth at the Vitality, but we've yet to do it. But I did feel that, you know, it would be a good point away from home to go to the Vitality and get that point. And we grinded it out, even though we're not playing at our very best, and we got the points. And then obviously, you know, we were all hoping and, you know, praying that we could beat Tottenham at home. And in recent fixtures, what was it, 6-1 and 4-0 at St James's Park? And you're thinking, yeah, you know, we can really kick on here, and let's hope that we turn up. And again, we're playing very deep. I think we had 36% possession throughout the game, so it was a bit tense, a bit nervy. But the most important thing is, boys, we're getting the points on the doors. You know what I mean? This is the key. The fact that we're picking up these points and we've still yet to leave third gear, in my opinion. fitness levels are going to increase after the international break. I mentioned it earlier, and I think we can really kick on. We've made a fantastic start, and to pick up 7 points from those 3 fixtures, which weren't easy, it's really promising. And now, obviously, we've got Sandro back. He's going to go away with Italy for the international break. He's going to come back a new player as well. It's great news for Newcastle. So no, I'm absolutely delighted. And like I say, I could pick numerous players who I thought played really well at the weekend, but the 2 standouts for me were Joe Linton. He was my man of the match, and Emil Kraft.
Interesting.
What about you,
I'm going to give you my top 5.
Ooh, top 5.
And it's in order. Number 5, Nick Pope. Number 4, Dan Burn. He was playing absolutely brilliant up until obviously the own goal, but he started to tire, I think, then as well. He made 1 or 2 mistakes. That's why he's at number 4. Number 3 for me is J7, and that is exquisite pass. Number 2 is Kraft. He was absolutely classy. He did a great job. Himself and Tino did a great job on Son, their biggest attacking threat. So Kraft got number 2, but the man of the match for me was Tino. I just thought he was class. Everything he did was absolutely class. The closing down from Newcastle was really, really good. Actually, even though it did look better when I watched it back on Sky, but being at the game, it didn't look like the best performance ever. But it wasn't either. But so if we're picking up points, 7 points from 9 here. Look at the table, 7 points from 9, and not playing well. That could potentially lead us to many things. When I say many things, you know what I'm going for here. There's a potential.
Oh my God. We're actually in a realistic position for it.
Yeah.
The first day of the season. I mean, I hope I'm playing this towards the end of the season as well. So let's see. What do you make of the table now, lads, as we sit in joint 3rd position in the table? Well,
if you'd have asked me, would we be sitting on the same points as the likes of Arsenal 3 games in? Certainly after the first game where we didn't play great, I'd have snapped your hand off, and I still would have snapped your hand off for it, even before the season had started. 7 points out of 9 it is a really good start. It is, and we cannot get away from that. I've talked about it before. The performances will come, but as long as we're chipping away and we're picking up results, and the next 2 games are massive. Wolves and Fulham away. So 2 big away games. If we can go and get 3 points at either of those places, so if we can sit on 6 points after that, like we're in a really good position to kick on, and obviously then we welcome Man City at St James's Park. If you look at the fixtures as they run through, they're not easy. We knew we had a relatively okay start, but once they start to kick in, I think it's not until end of November, early December that we play almost kind of a team you'd expect to win at home. We've got Brighton at home, Man City, then Brighton, then Arsenal, then West Ham, or you could argue that we expect to win that. Then you've got Liverpool at home, then it's Leicester in December. So if you look at that in terms of our home fixtures, we've got some big teams coming to St James's Park. If we can get to that point out of all of those games and end up unbeaten, having played some of those top teams coming to St James's Park, we'll be in a really good position, I believe, because I think away from home, if you look at some of those, I mean, Everton, got to win that. Mm-hmm. Wolves is a winnable game. They're conceding goals for fun at their place at Molineux at the moment. You've got Fulham. Fulham are a beatable team. We've got a good record there recently. Then you've got Forest. We've won there the last 3 times we've played. And we did it the other week. And then you've got Palace, which is always a difficult place for us to go. But, what Palace derby. There you go. What Palace are we going to see at that point? And so it's really interesting that you look at some of those fixtures, and the home ones are more difficult than the away. So it goes back to the point: can we can we improve on what we did last season? Our away form was absolutely shocking. But when we finished top 4, our away form was really good. So what are we going to see? The next 2 games, I think, is going to tell us a little bit more about what we're going to see from Newcastle United. And I think, if we can put really good performances in, get minimum 4 points, 6 points on the board from those 2 games, I think that sets us up nicely, regardless of what happens against Man City, because they're just a robotic team at the moment. They look more dangerous than ever this season. So I'm not putting anything on that result. But if we can get 4 points from our next 2 games and then move into the rest of the fixtures, I think we could be in a really, really good position. Because some teams haven't started very well at all. But there was one thing I wanted to talk about particularly, but we'll come back to that in a second. But Chris, what are your thoughts on the table, on where we stand at this point, mate?
Yeah, really positive. It's great that we're up there. We don't always make the best starts of the season, and I think you just touched on it, Pete, saying it's one of the best starts we've had to the season under Eddie Howe, anyway. And I think to be in and amongst it at this point with very winnable games coming up. Yes, you've got that Man City game which you look at and you think, okay, it's going to be difficult, but in recent times we've given Man City a good game. I've just replied there to Peter Moyle, who said it's time we beat Man City, and I completely agree with him. But we're going to have to be at it. We've got to be up to speed. And really, we should use the next 2 games, in my opinion, to hopefully, and this international break, to hopefully get ourselves in a position where we're back to our best. Because if we can reach that 4th, possibly 5th gear, we can give Man City a game. 100% we can. But if we play Man City the way we have been playing the last 3 games, I think we're in for a difficult time. Yeah, because Man City will punish you if you're not at it. You're not closing down, you're not pressing, and you're just inviting pressure onto you. Man City will just pick you off, and we've seen what Haaland's done already this season. So I think it's a great start to the season. I'm delighted, and I think this, as I said before, I think this 2-week break's come at a good time. Let Eddie get in with the majority of the squad, get those fitness levels up even more, and get ready for the Molineux. When we return. So yeah, I'm really pleased, and hopefully this break will do us good and we can come back fit and fine, go the Molineux and get 3 points.
Nice one. I'm gonna, before we go to questions, I'm just gonna I'll press the sponsor, then I'll go. I want to show a few pictures, tell a story or two, then we go to some questions. But a shout out to the Radiator Shed first. That music is too loud. Jesus. Right. Shout out to the Radiator Shed. Loaded 20 is the code to use. Yes, there's Michael. And everyone's just doing it on purpose now. They're trying to piss me off, but it's not going to work. Loaded 20, and you can contact us at theradiatorshed.com by email or on 077 666 04112. Peter. Right. So I just wanted to give a shout out to a few people as well. First of all, to the Irish Mags. They have done something amazing with that community. And then there's 500 people in that actual WhatsApp group, over 500, but it's bringing people together who are going over to matches, and loads of people will be traveling on their own, maybe never gone to Newcastle before, but they link up with everyone. They kind of meet up, and a group of us went for breakfast together and then into Stack and things like that. But it was absolutely great, and a great initiative that they've done in that fashion. If that was back in my day, it would have been great. I would have loved that. But so shout out to Tev and all of the boys that I met on the trip. Also want to give a shout out to Carl as well, Carl, Jane and the family who I met in Shearers. Met a few people along the way actually as well. Met this man, Rule Fox. Rule Fox. I used to love him, and I told him so as well. I told him I posters of you on my wall. That's what I'm telling him there. At that stage, so I met him in Shears. He was in Stack as well.
I blame Lee for Rule Fox leaving the club. Remember, I told you a while ago. Every time Lee had a Newcastle player on the back of his shirt, they left the club. That was him. Rule Fox was one of the first. Before we didn't have like players on the back of our shirts, that was one of the first he had. Rule Fox, and he left the club. What a guy! What a guy!
What a guy! Yes, I love him. Of course, he went to Spurs as well. He played for Spurs, so he played for both clubs. And then on the way back in the airport, straight after the match, I went back. I said hello to Paul Tunerview and Adam P as well on the way, but I was kind of rushing back to get back the airport via the metro. But I saw JT in the departures lounge, obviously heading away for a bit of sun, working the tan, but said congrats to JT, and he shook my hand as well. So nice one, JT. And then before boarding the plane, I met this man heading back to on our flight back to Ireland, Alex Murphy. Alex Murphy, hey, man. So great to say hello to. It's my best mate. I don't remind him who it was, but yeah, obviously a massive fan of the show, Alex Murphy. It was cool to meet Alex, and I know that some of the other lads made Longstaff was in the airport as well, and Dubravka was on. Those are all getting away either on international duty or getting a bit of a break. But I wasn't the only one that met some famous faces. Pete, you met someone as well. Tell us about this guy. Anyone know who this guy is?
Oh yes, the king. I'm not gonna lie. It was a special night for me. Special day, tiring day, but worth it. So got to give big thanks to Pete Graves. He was the host for that evening for Kevin Keegan. It was like a dream, absolute dream come true to meet the legend. He's part of the reason why I fell in love with the club. And to meet him, it was great. He talked about his career, he talked about his playing days and all the rest of it. And then what he doesn't do very often is a Q&A. So when I put it in the loaded chat, if you got a question for Kevin Keegan, I actually meant it. I meant, have you got a question? Because I was going to ask the question. And nobody put anything.
I did. I said, can he do a double headline show with Alex Murphy? Messing back to you.
We'll definitely work on that one, but yeah, no, it was a great evening, lads. Honestly, it was great to meet him, and you know what, like he just felt like one of the lads. Like I walked in, and I was just like starstruck. I was like, it's an absolute honor, like pleasure to meet you. And he just come here, give me a handshake, big hug, and he just like, you know what, it's like I'd met him like before. It was like we were mates, and like kind of like. Came in for it. We had a few photos and stuff, and had a chat for a little bit. But obviously, it was busy. Pete was busy. There was loads of stuff going on, and I just felt like I didn't want to take too much of his time because he'd been non-stop all night. But yeah, what a legend! What a legend! And hopefully we see him back at the club in some capacity, actually in the stadium, so we can appreciate what he did for the club. He changed the fortunes of his in a monumental way. What a guy!
I have a question for you, Pete. Did he make you feel 10 feet tall after talking with him?
Well, you know what? I think I've grown a little bit because I think you'll see me like this from now on.
The camera doesn't lie.
5'11", you know, getting up there, a bit taller.
Do you want to hear my funny story? I thought it was funny. You might think it's funny, but I thought it was funny. Right. So we're after getting off the plane and we're heading towards the metro, on the metro, and we're sitting down kind of facing, the group was facing each other, and Tev is talking to these two guys. I'm not sure if they're on the flight or not. They're from Northern Ireland. And we're chatting away, and we're chatting the transfer window and the bid for Elanga and all. Not going there. Don't worry, I'm not talking about that. We're talking about all this good stuff. So we're talking about 15 minutes, and we're chatting back and over. And I don't know what the guy's name was actually. And the guy goes to me, "You sound like that guy from that podcast." And he goes, "Is that you?" And I said, nah, that's not me. Then he goes, it is you. And then he goes, no, I love that podcast. And he goes, he said, the thing I love about it is that we're all different. We're coming from different areas. We're not coming from Newcastle, but we're Newcastle fans based in all the different areas. And I suppose maybe you can relate to that. Then this guy's a season ticket holder actually, and he goes, Chris, it's funny hearing people hearing someone from Liverpool talk about Newcastle stuff like that. And I said, oh, Chris's dad is originally from Newcastle, and that story. And then he goes, he just be listening to it on his bike, right? He never saw us, but he recognizes the voices. He listened to it and on the bike, and he's counting how many times Pete says, "I'm not gonna lie." That's what he's doing. He's on the bike counting that, so I just thought that was funny. But so yeah, they're just mad the people you bump into on the trip. So, but a great trip over.
So we haven't seen your face before, and he just recognised you purely off the voice.
Yeah,
that's mad.
That's quality.
Yeah.
And to answer Marco Pomo's question, yeah, we're all on YouTube, but we're a podcast. We are. Yeah,
there's been news coming very soon. Actually, on keep an eye on socials. It's to drop on that one. We are a podcast. We're on Spotify, on Amazon Music, and Apple podcasts. All your podcast providers actually were there as well. Exact same thing. You get the visuals when you go on YouTube. But so shout out to anyone that just listens to us on audio. And that guy that I don't know his name of, don't fall off the bike when you're listening to this. I'm not gonna lie, I don't want that to happen. Yeah, will we take some questions, lads?
Definitely. We've got a few comments and questions all the way through. So we'll just start right from the top. And our resident spanner, Tom Dixon, says, question for the lads. Do you think Isak should have had a penalty yesterday? I think we've already answered that question. We're resounding yes.
Yeah.
A resounding thumbs up. Yeah, there we go.
Why not?
Interesting one on the Pope conversation. Even in lads and lasses, does anyone else think Pope has lost his confidence when he dives left? Anything right seems fine, but very reluctant with shots to his left. More shoulder worries with the old emoji. What are your thoughts on that, boys? Interesting one.
It's too early yet, I think, for me. But Chris, you might have more to say on that.
Yeah. Well, I was going to bring it up earlier, and then I thought we're in a good flow, so I won't. And Pete, if you don't mind, I'm going to nick another question because Geordie Tune for Life. This also got mentioned similar by Distracted Hodgson, and he says, "Do you think Pope will ever shake these nervous moments? It doesn't seem to be getting better. I'm always worried when we pass back and he kicks it into the crowds." Now, Pete and I were at the City Ground. Obviously, Daz was at St James's on Sunday. And I remember Pete giving you a little nudge in the mid-game, and I was like, mate,
we did that whole game.
It was like, fucking hell. I went, look how nervous Pope looks. And I totally agree with Distracted Hodgson here. And funnily enough, I wanted to bring this up tonight in that, no point looking back on, no point crying over spilt milk. But I do think we'll look back in times to come and wonder whether we should have gone for Mamardashvili, because I'll tell you what, boys, and I've been saying this now for a good 12 months, that Nick Pope is a fantastic shot stopper. In fact, somebody else put it in the chat about did anyone think it was interesting? I forget who it was. It might have been Michael Pomar or Geordie Tune for Life, who said that apparently Eddie Howe was quoted as saying, "Oh, Nick Pope's a fantastic shot stopper," and then just ended it there. And that is something I completely agree with, in that I think when the ball comes at Nick Pope, and we saw it last season with Dubravka, how he struggles with some shots from distance, particularly, and he's not making the saves that he should. Nick Pope's fantastic at that. But my big concern around him is his overall game. His distribution at times is absolutely abysmal, if I'm being honest. He's kicking the ball out when he could just hit it long, and it's going out. There was a moment actually in the Tottenham game, and he come out to, again off his line, very quick, fair play. And the Tottenham player was some distance away from him, and he just kicked it out for the throw-in. And I thought, just lump it into the far corner, near the goalie, whatever. Just get it off the field and at least keep the ball in play. But he's always got this worried look on his face. where he looks like he's about to be sick. He looks absolutely petrified. And I wonder whether it all stems back to the game against Liverpool when he made that absolute howler. Because since then, obviously he was suspended, but since then, genuinely, I don't feel like he's ever been himself. And then obviously he picked up that really nasty injury, which obviously we've been asked about. Maybe he's got problems with his left shoulder. Who knows? But I'm not convinced, boys. I'm really, really not convinced by him. And I keep watching him, and I'm watching him closely. And I hate saying this, but look at like the likes of a Jordan Pickford. Now, I don't like Jordan Pickford as an individual, but when I watch him in goal for Everton, he's very full of himself. He's full of bravado. He's screaming, he's shouting, he's organising his defence in front of him. And I'm thinking, where's your confidence, Pope? Where's your commanding of your area? Like when he comes out, when the ball gets crossed in, and Pete mentioned it earlier, he's punching it when he should be catching it. And you're thinking, command your area. You're a big lad. He's 6'6". Come in, take control of the situation. But to me, he just looks like he's got a mistake in him. Like he's ready to drop a clanger or, miss time a kick, or I don't know. Is it just me, boys, or are you feeling that way as well? Or am I being overly harsh on Pope? Someone else in the chat says, he's made the second most saves in the Premier League so far this season. And I don't, as I say, as a shot stopper, I rate him. But I think it is other parts in his game, and particularly his confidence, that needs a lot of work.
That's his game. His game is shot stopping. And to be fair, he's probably one of the best in the league at doing that. So his save count doesn't surprise me at all, and that will continue to rise because he's a fantastic shot stopper. I think, Daz, you talked about it when you were doing the review, the save that he made from Maddison. Superb save. Yeah, superb. That goes in the back of the net if it's Dubravka. Dubravka dives backwards and lets that go into the goal. That's the difference. That's
Colombia goalie style.
If you ever watch Dubravka, half the time that goal that Amad Diallo scored at Old Trafford at the back end of last season, like that shot should have been saved if he'd have dived to the side. He literally dives backwards. He lets the ball in the net. Anyway, Nick Pope doesn't do that. Nick Pope is a fantastic shot stopper. One of the things I said to you at the county ground, or city ground, should I say, not the county ground, Nick Pope can't kick with his left foot, but defenders continually give him the ball on his left foot. So all he does is just kick it out of play. And so it gives him a worse perception on it. And I genuinely believe, and I'm so glad he got called up for England. I'm really glad because I think he is one of the best goalkeepers, English goalkeepers in this country, easily.
He deserves to be in the squad, Pete. He deserves to be in the squad.
Yeah. But the only reason he's not been number one, even when we were finishing fourth and he was getting all those clean sheets, the only reason he's not number one is because he can't kick the ball. He can't kick the ball. And that's the only thing that, in my opinion, Jordan Pickford has over him. Because Jordan Pickford can kick comfortably with both feet. And he can take it in pressure positions and hit a ball and hit it into an area exactly where the player wants. And as a progressive team that's looking to be a top team, that's what managers and teams and players are looking for, because they almost build their game on it. You look at Edison and Man City. How many goals have they scored off the back of those long punted kicks that have come from nowhere and Haaland's ran onto it, or a midfielder or wingers ran onto it? That's what they do. And that is part of the game now. You have to be good with your feet. And unfortunately, Nick Pope isn't. But Nick Pope is a fantastic shot stopper. I do have a concern, and it was a great point that was made about him diving on that side, particularly on his left side where his shoulder is. He doesn't look comfortable diving on that side. I noticed it straight away when he dived to make one of the saves against Brentford in the last game of the season. When he dived there, I don't know whether it was just his mentally, whether he wasn't comfortable, but he made a dive there, and he dives in a very different way than he does onto his right, because he's obviously more comfortable on that side. Long term, it is a concern, because whether it's an actual physical problem or whether it's mental, it is still a concern, because you want your keeper comfortable diving both sides. Mm-hmm. I actually see it as a blessing that we didn't get a goalkeeper this season, in terms of a genuine challenger
We didn't want transfers, did we?
For Nick Pope. Well, look, we got 2 goalkeepers. They're nowhere near challenging Nick Pope. We know that. But I think it might be a blessing that we didn't get a goalkeeper that's necessarily challenging, because I genuinely think if we have the season that we all want to have, where we potentially get Champions League, or just below that, if we get the European football, Europa League, for example, I think that will be one of the priorities. I genuinely think we'll go out and get a goalkeeper that is good with his feet and will genuinely test Nick Pope as of next season. We did say over a year ago, I think one or two of us, it might have been yourself, Daz and Chris, you might have thought that this season might have been the season, and it probably should have been, where we replaced him. But we did say, as a channel, it would either be in the next 1 or 2 years that we would look to replace Nick Pope, and next summer would be that second year. And the guy that I was thinking of is the guy that's just come in the chat by N9NE, and it's the guy from Porto, and he, for me, would be the absolute ideal type of goalkeeper that I'd go out and get. Absolutely. He is the guy that would progress Newcastle United forward. A good shot stopper, but excellent with the ball at his feet. He would be the guy. They're like gold dust at the moment. You'd have to pay a premium for him, but he'd be worth it. Absolutely. So I think it's a valid conversation. As long as he keeps the ball out of the net for this season, I'm not bothered. And to be fair, with that shot stopping ability alone, lads, he will pick up huge amount of clean sheets, and that's what we need as a club. We need to be dogged in defence, like you talked about with Kraft and Byrne. Dogged, bring Shaw back. I do think by the end of October we'll have Botman back in the squad as well. You bring that quality of defender back that's dogged. I genuinely think on top of that, we'll be picking up clean sheets for sure.
Interesting point, Pete and Chris, for bringing this up. But I think maybe it's the glasses, Chris. But I think we could maybe have like a new section, like Dr. Hall. Dr. Hall investigation. the doctor will see you now. An in-depth analysis of one particular of the team that needs further investigation. But next question.
Okay. It's not a question, it's a comment. Where are the Barnes haters? Jason Scott says. He is the man at the moment, and he's doing the business. Does he start for you boys? Is he a regular starter now? Should he get a run in the team off the back of his performance?
100%.
Ever since we didn't sign a right winger, it's Barnes and Gordon for me until one of them gets injured.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. I am in agreement there. Mike Gent says Steve Mitchell looked like he's just been caned at school, and Eels sat smiling while on his phone. I sense some discontent. The world could is what he said. Going back to that picture there, do you see it as a genuine concern? Do you see it as something that we should be worried about, or is it just people maybe overthinking it? What are your thoughts on that particular picture in that Sky captured?
I think that they've had a conversation, all right, that it needed to happen as well, but not a concern. Move on, put it right in January. Let's stay in contention, close to those top 5 positions, or if not in those top 5 positions, and then invest in January, bring in 1 or 2, if not more, signings. I know January's market is very difficult to deal in, but identify the players between now and then, and pull the trigger, and get the signings in, and maybe get them in early, not leave it to the real end of the window.
Yeah,
Chris.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said earlier, no point crying over spilt milk. Unfortunately, the window's shut now. But I believe that Yasser Al-Rumayyan won't have been happy with what's gone on. I think I put it in the chat earlier. Certainly in terms of an assessment of the window, he can't be happy with that. Who knows if there's some master plan in place? We'll never know. What's going on behind the scenes. But for me, I think we've made a massive mistake not bringing in at least a centre back, but definitely a right winger. I do feel like we've made a mistake there. But I'm not gonna get down in the dumps over it because there's absolutely nothing we can do about it till at least January. So we'll just have to see how we go from here, really. But yeah, I don't think he'd be impressed with the window itself. But proof will be in the pudding. As I say, we've got from now till December to hopefully try and pick up as many points as we possibly can, and let's see where we are in January. Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing us go back in for someone like Gay, or see if there's any other bargains that we can try and pick up, because I do believe that Newcastle may test the water for Gay because his price will be significantly lower. Even though we're only talking like 3-4 months later, which seems really odd. But that's 70 million. It won't be anywhere near 70 million. So if you can go and pick Mark Gay up for 50 million, or between 45 and 50 million in the January transfer window, I think it'd be a good deal. And who knows? Maybe we'll look back and go, "Oh bloody hell, it was a good job we waited and knocked 20 million off the price tag," because that's potentially what we could do. But I think if we get to January and we don't bring anybody in again, I think we're just going to be left disappointed. However, for this January transfer window, I am going to be going in very cautious. I'm not going to be expecting anything this January transfer window. Whether or not we decide to leave it until the summer, who knows? For me, if we shaved a couple of players off the squad in the January transfer window, I think that would be good business. If we managed to get rid of a couple of players, I think that would help. But in terms of incomings, I'd like to see at least one, but I won't be expecting any, if I'm honest, because I don't want to be upset like I was this time around.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one with how it all works out. Or do you think we'll sign players? It'll be interesting. I agree. I think we're going to go back in for Gay. It'll be interesting how much we bid this time. And I put it on the 12th man chat yesterday. I just said it would be absolutely hilarious if we went back in for Gay and got him for like 45 million. So like or so much cheaper than the 70. And we're laughing at that point. We've held on for 6 months. We're in a good position, fingers crossed, and then we get him for 20, 25 million, whatever cheaper. We're absolutely laughing at that point. And yeah.
Do you think Palace cut the nose off to spite the face, Pete? If we were to go back in and go, oh yeah, it's 45 million, do you think Palace would just be so bitter about that? Bearing in mind the window's shut, 2-3 days ago. So you're talking September, October, November, December. You're talking 4 full months.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go back in and offer them £25 million less. Do you think they'd actually turn around and go, no, we're not selling them? Or do you think there's a chance that Mark Gay may have signed a new deal by then? Or do you think he'll hang in?
Well, we had a conversation off air. I think it might have been after away days or one of the shows anyway. And I said to you, I think I said to you, Chris, I said, I'm convinced that Palace were not expecting Newcastle United to come in this summer. I'm convinced on this. I genuinely believe that they thought Gay having a great tournament, he'd come back, he'd sign a new deal, and they'd keep him, and they'd be able to build their team around him. But I don't think they expected Newcastle to come in hard and go, we want him. And I genuinely think this is why they've played hardball. They want him to stay at the club. But us coming in has turned his head. And now he wants to leave. And he's got no interest in signing a new contract. And that has been the sticking point. And I think they've played hardball with us all summer just because they want to give themselves the opportunity between now and January to get him to sign a new contract. If they don't perform, if they're not in the top half or fighting for European football by the time January comes around, he is not signing a new contract. And if we're in that position, and we hope to be, he's going to look at us and going, I can help them to get European football. And I think he's going to want to make the jump in January. And at that point, they've got, 18 months? That'll be their only chance to get a genuine, significant fee from him at that point. And I think if Newcastle come in with 45, 50 million, which is his value, by the way, this is his value, and we've said it all on the Footload transfer.
Yeah.
I think they sell. I genuinely do. But it wouldn't surprise me either, boys. Now we've got Mitchell in, and we've talked about Mitchell and what he did in the summer window and what others didn't do. We've got 4 months to really hone in our targets. And it wouldn't surprise me if we go, you know what, Gay? Palace, you had your chance. We're going to go elsewhere. And we scout and we pick up somebody else in January. Wouldn't surprise me either way. But Gay will be one of those options. Absolutely certain of it. But whether
I
we
would
go somebody else, that's gone. Go for it.
So yeah, no, I was just going to say I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I would be definitely looking for someone else, an alternative, because I wouldn't be surprised if Palace were willing to sell, that they wouldn't sell to us, sell to Liverpool or something like that, because Liverpool would sit in the long grass as well, waiting for the best deal that they didn't spend that much or anything in the transfer. Well, I suppose they probably Marmashvili put send them on loan again back to Valencia, but. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm forgetting about Mark A for now, and move on.
Yeah, there are other quality players out there. He wasn't the only one, and that was one thing we stated on this channel. He wasn't the only one. It seemed like the only one that we were after, but he's not the only quality centre back out there, and there are others. So wouldn't bet against it. This is I like this one, Ian. So Ian Toon Trader was in the house, and great to have him in there. I'm not sure if he's still in right now, but he said if we reach 500 likes, Ian Toon Trader will shave off his hair. Whether Ian Toon Trader's in here to debunk that, I don't know, but we'll stick to it. That is
which hair?
Oh,
he had his
Manscaped. Huh?
He had his Manscaped gear, didn't he? There you go.
There we go. There we go.
You know what?
If he does it, we'll get him on live. To do it live on the show.
Oh,
love that.
How about that?
Love that. Love
500 likes, everyone. 500 likes. You know what to do.
We'll have to put a bit of a charity spin on it as well. To get 500 likes is to get him thinking about it, and then we can go from there. So,
brilliant stuff. Right, we've got some other questions in here. Do you think that the 22-23 front foot aggressive system is a thing of the past? One or two people have suggested it. One or two journals have suggested that it's not quite the front foot football that we had when we finished fourth.
Press.
Is there a reason for that? Do you think it's gone? Do you think we're playing a different style? I've got an opinion on it, but boys, I want to know your thoughts about this. Great question from Jeannie Esther.
Yeah, it was all kind of about Miggy bombing down, chasing down everything like a wasp, following everyone around. And I just don't think we have that right winger now to do that job. And Gordon isn't quite back to where he was either. I thought he was better in the game versus Spurs. He's getting a bit of his spark back, but not fully back yet. And Isaac is doing it all up front as well, but it's difficult on him, like chasing shadows and trying to hold up the ball. Yeah, are we going to get back to that? It's a good question, Iniesta. Really good question.
Chris, what are your thoughts?
I think so, but I think it'll be more considered. And I also think the reason that maybe we haven't done it so far is because I wonder whether the players are up to it in terms of fitness-wise. Let's not forget we had a bit of a stop-start pre-season, I'd say, in the fact that we were in Germany, then we were in Japan, and
Australia before that.
Yeah, so I just wonder whether Eddie's not pushing them to the full stretch at the minute, because one, he's worried about injuries. Obviously, he doesn't want to max any players out or keep them out for a sustained period. But also, I do think I caveat that with I do think we'll be a little bit more considered this season. We can't go too early, and some teams as well. They're expecting that. That's what they're expecting us to do. So I think maybe we're trying to, cause the element of surprise a bit. There'll be certain teams that you have to press and you have to, try and close down to make sure they haven't got too much time on the ball. I'm very, very interested now. We were talking about it earlier. very interested to see how we set up against Man City, because if there's a team to play that way against, it's Man City. Because if you give them if we sit back and let Man City have the majority of the ball, we're just asking for it, in my opinion. We really are just asking for it. If, however, as we've done in recent seasons, where we don't give them a second on the ball, we're pressing, we're going high, we're trying to, the best form of attack, best form of defense is attack kind of philosophy. I think that's when we'll hit our top mark, and it wouldn't surprise me. I know Eddie says he does a game at a time. It wouldn't surprise me if he's just trying to, muddle through, get us through these next few games, remain undefeated, obviously, with the hope of trying to get the maximum 3 points, but really trying to set a mark. Because what's that going to do to our rivals, and what's that going to do to the rest of the world if Man City, we play Man City and we turn them over? What's that going to do for confidence in the squad as well? So I wonder whether we're just trying to build up, trying to gain some momentum, because there has been times in these last 3 Premier League games where we've all kind of gone, come on, where's the energy? Come on, why are we sitting back? Why aren't we going for them? Why aren't we pressing? There was a moment in the game at the weekend where Bruno pressed really high forwards and he was trying to get everyone to follow him, but it was only him doing it. And I was a bit like, is that Bruno's enthusiasm? Is it the fact that we're not following the Eddie Howe rulebook? I'm sure that's probably not the case. I just feel like to put it in like racing terms, I just feel like, we're a jockey on the horse and we're just holding the horse back a little bit because we're not ready to go yet. And that's how I feel that we're playing at the minute. I don't think we've gone hell for leather, and I don't think we've hit 4th or 5th gear. And I think we're just biding our time. But I do think we'll see that football again. Just not right now.
For me, I think Bunce has maybe played a part in it. Him coming in from a performance level, I think he's maybe looked at the situation and gone, we can't do this for the whole game, which is what we were doing before, and maybe looked and done it. We tend to do it in spells now, and that I think is a big factor in that. So Bunce coming in is definitely given an opportunity to have a look at the situation. I think injuries will be part of it, but as Eddie Howe has said in his press conference as well, he's setting his team up differently for every single game. And it was very obvious that we were very much compact and very much protective of our defenders. Our defenders were brilliant, and we've mentioned them within our top performers. But I think the midfield were a lot deeper than what they normally are, because they're protecting the defenders, because we haven't got the first choice defenders that we're comfortable having in the team. And I think because of that, particularly the centre-back area, and because of that, we played compact in order to hit them on the break. So it was a very different style to what we did when we hit them 6-1 and when we beat them 4-0. We felt that we had a strong enough team to go at them. And I don't think he feels that we're there quite yet. I think what we'll find is Eddie Howe will set up a different system and a different style for different teams. And that shows that Eddie Howe is evolving in his managerial ability to play different styles of football for the different team that we're coming up against. Not just going a little bit almost like how we have in previous years, where we just go, yeah, we play one style, let's go at them. And regardless of how they're set up, we're going to go at them. Actually, I think he's maybe thinking a little bit more intelligently and going, right, this particular team, they play in this way, so we're going to play this way to counteract them. And is then confident that our attacking players can go and win the game for Newcastle United. And that's a smart way of thinking. That is what a top-level manager thinks like. It's not just a case of, I play a certain style, I'm going to play this way, and regardless, we're going to go and attack. It's an intelligent way of thinking, and I think we are starting to see that. We're not going to see that gung-ho, great, amazing football every week, but what we're going to potentially get, and that's what I'm hoping for, and what obviously, of course, what the club are hoping for, is that we're going to pick up the results that are going to put points on board.
And of course, we don't have, fingers crossed, we don't have the rake of injuries we had before last season. So he can mix and match, like start Longstaff, have Tonali on the bench, start Kelly, have Hall on the bench, to, as you said, Pete, to suit the opposition and whether we're playing home or away and who we were up against in those particular positions.
Yeah, this is why we've had Hall starting one game, Kelly starting another. You're going to see that.
Kelly offers a more of a physical presence than Hall. Hall is definitely more attacking. I love watching him play, but Kelly is more physical, and that Hall will get to that level as well as he gets older.
And isn't that a great thing to have options where you can play certain players that have certain attributes in certain games? Because they offer something different. So I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, yeah, Hall should start. He should start." Yeah, in some games he should because he's the better player for that particular game. But actually, in some other games, like Sunday, Kelly's the better option because he sits in and does his job. And actually, I'm not against Lewis Hall coming on and being an impact player and being an attacking brute going forward and creating a different problem for a team later on in the game that have to think differently. I'm not against that at all. Equally, I'm not against Hall playing in an attacking mindset to go and win the game early on. And then at 60, 70 minutes, he comes off and Kelly just sits in.
Close it out.
Sits in. Exactly. And this is the great options that we have. This is why, for me, and there's another question, there's a few questions in here with regards to Kieran Trippier. This is why, for me, Kieran Trippier has to stay at the club. Nikolai G puts in there, do you think Trippier will still leave? Sky reporting today about him wanting away. What are your thoughts on this, lads? There's a few people, Sky have touched on it, a few people in the chat have touched on it as well with regards to that. I think I only starred Nikolai's comment on Kieran Trippier, but do you think he's going to leave? I think the rumours were rubbished at one point, but Sky have reported them now. Is that a concern?
No, I don't think Trips leaves now at this stage. Trips actually, you probably didn't see this on TV, but he was like a manager on the sideline. He was like organising and everything as well. Even when Spurs had the free kick and Madison was standing over the ball, he was directing. He was from a distance, but he was giving hand signals to them what to do and stuff like that. He is, even though he's not on the pitch, he's involved. And he will get game time for us as well. So a great option to have. And the last two games, it has looked like he's back to what he was before. Trips at that in that headspace is definitely an asset to the club.
What do you think, Chris? Staying or going?
I think he'll stay now. I think if he was to go, I think it will probably be the summer or maybe January, maybe. When I was talking about shaving the squad, maybe. I don't think Eddie Howe wants to lose him. I think that's abundantly clear. And if the club aren't pressurising him, to raise funds, it could be, that they decide to keep hold of him. I think as a, certainly as a leader, I think he's great to have around the squad. We know how professional he is. For me, the only reason that I ever said that I would have sold Kieran Trippier is purely for the money, because of the money that you could get for him, given the fact that he's going to be 34 this month, I believe. So, it makes financial sense. However, let's not forget the fact that he is a fantastic player on his day, and I think he brings as much off the pitch as he does on the pitch. So having players like him in the squad is never a bad thing. I'd never say, "Oh, let's get rid of him, he's rubbish," kind of thing. I think I was looking at the pound signs and thinking, well, it makes good financial sense. But having Kieran Trippier at the club, even if he retires at the club, it's not going to be a bad thing, because I think he does offer so much, not just on but also off the pitch.
Yeah, there's rumours from Kevin saying Newcastle will block any moves for the right back who's under contract until 2026, which I would agree with in that situation. Chris, there's a direct comment for you. I'll come to that, and then I've got one or two for you, Daz, as well. Michael Palmer said, Chris, did you celebrate more for the Isak goal or the Bournemouth third at the weekend? And Darren puts in there, Everton 2-0 up at 87 minutes with a laughing emoji. What are your thoughts on that, fella?
Oh, mate, always Newcastle. Always celebrate Newcastle goals more, but I must admit, to be honest, I was more in shock. Like I say, I'd gone to pick Lisa up, and I was listening to it on the radio, and it was just like 2-1, 2-2, 3-2. I couldn't believe it. There's a lot of upset blues in my house. Recently, one of them's just come in then and pulled his tongue out at me, but I know he's hurting. because obviously I'm in a pretty good mood the way things have gone from the start of the season. But yeah, it disappointing for Everton, particularly as I say, they played well first half. They really, really did play well. But someone else in the chat, I don't know who said it, so apologies, but they said, "Oh, is this the season Everton go down?" And I was only saying to my mate the other day that wouldn't it be typical Everton to stay up all these seasons by the skin of the teeth, and then the season where they're about to go into a new stadium, that's when they go down. It would just be typical Everton. But yeah, no, I did enjoy the demise. Not going to lie, but yeah, I'm always going to be celebrating a Newcastle goal more than a Bournemouth goal.
Lovely stuff. A couple of just separate comments here. Nobby Clark says Wilson, Willock, and Shaw back next game potentially. Great 3 players to have back. If that is the case, that would be absolutely brilliant to get them back. As well as that, there was another comment. Daz, this one's for you. There's a couple here. I saw yesterday, Daz, surrounded by your adoring fans. Not sure where he says
you should have said hello, Harry. You would have met brought you top of the queue for the meet and greet.
Love it. Mike Gates says, did you sample the stat, Daz? I came up from the Midlands last week for the Forest game. Brilliant atmosphere and very reasonably priced. I've got videos I can share.
Mike Gaines, great age, Mike. Yeah, I did sample the stack. I wasn't drinking though because I was driving later on that night. Always safety first when it comes to the road and driving. Safety first. But yeah, the stack is quality. I absolutely love it. It's I can't wait from we're over in April, lads. To something together. I sent you a picture, Pete, of Davies as well. I didn't get because I was just after having breakfast. I didn't get to eat there, but everything looks lush. Isn't that what they say?
Yeah,
lush.
We're going to sample Davies when we go over there. I've got to sample.
Sample more than Davies. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, we will. We will. That is for sure. There's a few for me that I'm just going to whip through really quickly. Alan Thompson says, Pete, question. Would you still want James Maddison as he fell over too easily for me, taking injury when Dan Burn never touched you? We touched on that earlier. Would I want him now? Probably not. The Tottenham fans are on him at the moment. I don't think they're best pleased that he's not being the player that they thought he would be. I do think he'd have been a better player at Newcastle, but I wouldn't sign him now. I think we're going in a different direction. And let's face it, he had his chance and he blew it. He chose Tottenham. You don't get a second shot at the title. So yeah, not for me. And there's another one here. Pete, what's the Spurs fan saying on your private chat? Well, I'm not gonna lie. I've not heard a peep from Patrick, and I've not heard a peep from Toby either.
The chatty man is muted. What?
Not a word. He puts
Chatty
up on socials. Not heard from him. Not heard from Toby. Didn't respond. Didn't put anything in the chat. Nothing at all. And Lawless, being shameless as he is, was the first one in there telling Toby to hold that when the result went through. But I'm not jumping on Lawless as a friend here, because if we'd have lost, he'd have jumped on me for exactly the same reason, because that's what Lawless is like.
No loyalty.
No loyalty whatsoever. He's just there to cause carnage. That is for sure. Question here around the Barnes-Gordon situation. Ian McKenna says, do you play Gordon on the left, Barnes on the right, or Barnes on left, Gordon on the right? And on top of that, Seb says, what are your thoughts on Gordon and Barnes playing that position? Who should play in their best position? And who should it just be figured out by them switching wings within the game? Two really good questions with regards to that. What are your thoughts, boys?
For me, I start Barnes on the left and Gordon on the right, and then let them switch it during the game as it progresses. That's the way I go about it.
Chris, what are your thoughts? Oh, you're on mute.
I always do it every show, don't I? I'm going to say the complete opposite to Daz, but agree with him at the end. So I'd start Gordon on the right, Gordon on the left, and Barnes on the right. However, more than happy to interchange during the game. I think Gordon always just looks far more effective on that left wing for me, and I think I want him to be in his best position, because maybe as well it's because I saw Harvey Barnes on the right at the City ground, and he looked decent. So maybe I'm more comfortable with Harvey Barnes being on the right. But yeah, I think Gordon last season as well, he was one of the best left wingers, if not the best left winger in the league. So I think you've got to make allowances for him. So me personally, I'd start Gordon on the left, and then obviously if you want to switch it up mid-game, absolutely, yeah, go ahead and do that. If he's getting more joy on the right, go for it.
Good question.
Good question.
Definitely a good question. Just a comment here from Harry Robertson, who plays Everton on the last game. Could we do the dream? Could we relegate them? That would be something special. Friend of the channel.
Is that home or away?
Home,
because we played them. We played them at their ground on my birthday, so I've remembered.
Oh, okay.
If there's a relegation battle at that game, or we're fighting for top four, I'll need to beg, steal, and borrow to get to that match, because I would love to be in that stadium, and we sent them
Get in the ballot.
Oh, mate,
like the rest of us.
Get me in, get me in. I'm there all day.
Definitely. Jonathan Greenwood, great to have you in there. You've got a trophy that belongs to us, and we will soon have that back. No doubt about it. Even in gents, do we need a 70 million defender when we have Kraft playing as well as he has? Also, can we tell Bruno to win a coin toss so we aren't shooting? That annoys me. It annoys me when I saw it that we were shooting Gallagher first. It annoys the hell out of me. And it does affect the players. There's no doubt about it. Shooting down the hill, second off is the one. But the first one in there, do we need a 70 million defender when we have Kraft playing so well? Daz, what are your thoughts?
Kraft-Ku or Kraft-Dini. Yeah, no, he as I said already, he was my second man of the match for yesterday. And like we always worry about we Byrne and Kraft at centre back, but they've done really well in the last little while, and then we've got Char back now as well. So and when Kraft is called on again, he'll do a job again. And people were talking about as well today. I think he only signed a 1-year contract extension. He's for the age he was, he could have easily got another club on an extended contract. But he loves playing for Newcastle. So there's a lot of good things to be said about Emil Kraft.
Definitely. Chris, do we need to sign a centre-back for that price when Kraft's playing well?
So we definitely need to sign a centre-back, in my opinion, Johnny. A 70 million centre-back, yeah, you could argue, maybe not. I mean, I wasn't happy spending 70 million on Gay in the first place, as I think I told everybody. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. Like Kraft's been great, and long may that continue. But it's and I think we spoke about this earlier on in the window, boys, didn't we? Saying that, it's all about longevity and it's all about consistency. And this is the problem. The likes of Kraft, the likes of Miggy, the likes of Murphy, the likes of Longstaff, they'll put in some really good performances, and I'm not taking that away from them whatsoever. But, to be at the very, very top of the game, playing week in, week out, I would have concerns that he would be able to keep that up. And that's why we've already said, when Fabian Schär's back next week, not next week, the next game at the Molineux at Wolves, he has to play. He has to play, and unfortunately, Kraft has to make way. Done a fantastic job. And this is the thing, if you've got players in the squad like Emil Kraft, brilliant, fantastic. Do I want Emil Kraft in the starting 11 week in, week out? No, because ultimately you will get found out. That's why, we bought Emil Kraft for the amount that we did. I think it was like 4 million from, it was a French club, wasn't it? I think
he was just after moving to that club as well, whatever club it was. Yeah.
That's why we picked him up for that price, and that's why he's not playing for Real Madrid or Barcelona or someone like that, because he has his limitations. Not taking anything away from him, he's been absolutely brilliant. But next game against Wolves, if he plays, he could have an absolute howler, and then we go, oh, we shouldn't be playing a right back at centre back. It's ridiculous, and then the narrative changes, doesn't it?
Counter question for, sorry, I was just going to say counter question to Johnny there as well. We have a proposal for your brother. You just put his number in the chat and leave that with us. Tell him we'll be in touch.
Definitely.
Sorry, Pete.
No, I was going to say it's the same situation with Jacob Murphy. Has a great game, has great moments, also has some down moments. Kraft will be exactly the same. Just because they're in good form now doesn't mean that we don't go and sign a replacement. We need a replacement. You could argue we don't need to spend 70 million. I mean, I don't think we will. But yeah, there's an argument there for sure. Kevin, thank you for your super chat. Has to go, guys. Good work. We've only got 2 points left before we wrap up anyway. Peter Moore says Bruno is unbeaten as captain, which is absolutely correct. And Bill just responds to the podcast conversation earlier. I used to listen purely on podcasts, to be fair, but having experienced the quality peeps in the live chat, I wouldn't want it any other way now.
Yes, get it.
Always first in the chat, or nearly always first, and put some fantastic comments in, like the rest of you do as well. Last couple from me. Questions about the stadium. Do you think there's a new stadium, yes or no, coming, or do you think it's going to be new or refurbished? What are your thoughts? Chris, we'll start with you.
New stadium, 100%. I've been convinced of it for a while, and I must admit, I'm one of the few, by the sounds of things, that I think it'd be a good thing. Love St James's, love everything about it, but sometimes you have to move on. Times change, and for me, I just think to have a brand spanking new stadium with these owners, it's not going to be done. It's not going to be done on a prayer or a whim. It's going to be the best stadium, arguably, in world football, and I'm all for that. And if it gets more people in the stadium as well, that'd be great. From a selfish point of view, obviously, I'm not a season ticket holder. I'd love the opportunity to have a season ticket at Newcastle. I just think teams do move on. If you'd ask, other clubs who've had new stadiums, you ask Tottenham, at the time, I'm sure they didn't want to leave White Hart Lane. If you ask them now, what do you think of your stadium? I think they'd tell you it's one of the best in the world, and it is. It would have to be done right. It would have to be, it'd have to have certain traits of St James's Park. It would have to be near to the existing land of St James's Park. Don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting, we change everything, but there's a right way to do it, and I believe that the owners would do it right. And like I say, it would just be incredible for us to have a brand new stadium, and for me, I think it will happen as well.
That's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to be a quick answer here. I think that's what Chris has just described there. They're going to head in that direction. This report is meant to be imminent. It's been imminent for a while now. So just tell us what's happened, and then after that, give us the details of it as well. That might take time, or give us a time frame, an accurate time frame on the details, because it'd be nice to know.
Definitely. Johnny with a little quick back. He always does. Nick's too busy polishing the trophy to make it for the teams.
All right, I'll track him down. I'll hack into it and track him down. We couldn't remember his first name. Nick. We got that out of you now. You fell for it, Charlie. You fell for it. Game over now.
I love it. And last one, it says, big up Gary Neville for his PSR rant yesterday. Always had time for his opinions, especially on everything team related. He hasn't always been positive about Newcastle United. Likes to throw little digs in there now and again. It all depends on what way the wind blows. But what he did say about PSR, and in particular, he quoted Newcastle United as being a team that's all basically under the thumb and being held back from being able to spend. And he believes Newcastle United should be given the opportunity to spend, to be able to fight alongside the Man Cities, the Arsenals, the Liverpools. So big up to Gary Neville on the back of that. If you haven't seen it, there's clips going around on X. So yeah, give that a watch, and yeah, hopefully the Premier League listen on that one. Not going to go too much into that, but that's just something for other people to watch if you haven't not. And they are the questions, boys.
Googling Nick Greenwood. We'll track him down. We'll get him, boys. Don't even worry. We'll have him playing for us in April. Right. that is it. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we will be back again pretty soon. Keep an eye out as usual. Shout out as well, as you see it scrolling across the bottom of the screen, to Manscaped. You know already all the great products that Manscaped have on offer. Use the code LOADED20 for 20% off and free shipping. Hang on, Pete wants the sound. He's making hand gestures there. There you go, Pete. Wrong one.
I did that on the last show. That was
it. So yeah, go check that out from manscaped.com. That is it. We are out. See you on the next one. How'd you like that? Good night, everyone. Drink it, like weed and tell me you like that.